Hey guys, it's Rashcroft with Political Simulators Unite. This is the second video in the playthrough series. If you guys missed the first video, I'll put a link to it here so you guys can click to it easily. But let's go ahead and get started. It's 1977 here in China, and we are leading our country forward after the death of Mao, which we saw last game. And we've got our first event here. Indian elections. So the former Indian Prime Minister since 1966, Gandhi, who is the head of the INC during her reign, carried out active leftist reforms in the socio-economic sphere, which even provoked a split in the INC and the exit of the right wing. During her reign, considerable success was achieved in the economy and fight against poverty, but the state of emergency in the country since 1971 plays into the hands of the opposition from this particular party. And they, of course, accused Gandhi of corruption, nepotism, and authoritarianism. Under these conditions, Gandhi decided to organize early parliamentary elections. And Gandhi's always basically been, I'm just paraphrasing, she's always been pro Soviet, unfriendly towards us, and she's always been adversarial to Pakistan, which has been very friendly to us. So, in this particular event, we have the options of keeping out of the latest elections that she's called, supporting the opposition, or supporting her. I am going to support the opposition. Here's the result. So, due to the fall in the popularity of Gandhi and the INC, our active support, and also because the fight against the state of emergency in the eyes of the population made them kin with the freedom fighters of India from British domination, the party that we supported managed to bypass the INC. So now what we have is a new government was formed. They restored diplomatic relations with us. They improved relations with Pakistan, and they defended the Indian nuclear policy on the world stage. And so basically, that was a good thing for us. We now have relations with India. They are classified here as a close partner. Of course, we still can't support the Maoist rebels in the east, but frankly, why are we going to piss off a ally? No point in that. All right, so we have one of the budget. Can't much do with that. Can't do much with that at the moment. So let's just continue to go forward here. I'm going to speed things up just a bit. If you guys remember, we have the two conflicts, one in Cambodia, one in Thailand. Another event. Back to the roots. So guys, for all these events, I'm going to just do my best to kind of get through this huge amount of text because I don't want, people moving on as a result of me just sitting here reading. So it's one of the challenges, I tell you, of doing this kind of game on YouTube. All right, so back to the roots. In the early 1960s, in order to cope with the devastating effects of the Great Leap in the People's Republic of China, under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping and Zhou Enlai, large-scale self-government economic reforms and the possibility of private land tenure were launched. And Mao was like, okay, he didn't do anything about it because he feared dissatisfaction on the part of the majority in the Chinese Communist Party, who, of course, remembered the failure of the Great Leap. Let's see here. Okay, so the two options we have, let's look at the options, three different ones. Do not break what works, revive a planned system, which takes one from our budget, start preparing for further large-scale reforms. That's definitely not in the cards because I'm not going to go liberal. Revive a planned system. It's going to go that way. All right. So now that we have a little bit of money, I do believe we need to look at increasing our funding for science because I do know we've kind of been lagging there. At least it seems that way. This will help us generate more points right here. While we're here with the game paused, let's look at our politics situation. Just briefly, one of the subscribers on one of the previous videos indicated that I should be appointing some of the folks who support me, who have high loyalty levels to me, into these more prestigious, powerful positions within the country. I think he's dead on, and so I'm going to go ahead and implement that. This guy in particular, who is a moderate, and he's a hard man, and he's thrifty. So I believe thrifty would give us a benefit or a bonus, kind of like on the anti-corruption front. I imagine it's similar to in previous Kremlin games was like harsh, which you were able to drop corruption that way. All right, so let's get rid of. Let's see, who is a guy who hates my guts, and he's in a position of power. Let's find him. All right, this guy's going to be gone. He is currently the governor of the West. Here's our new governor of the West. Boom. There we go. Ding Xiaoping, let's hound him. See, dropped him down 2 spots. Jeez. Too many guys. Yeah, I'm just trying to build up some support here. I'm going to have a conspiracy on my hands. And let's, so that's kind of what's going on with the politics screen. Let's look at what's going on with our wars here. Things are fairly stable. I'm going to leave it where it is. Let's move forward. And again, just want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on the different factors in the country, how things are going. Okay. You can see our influence here. Albania. Oh. Okay, we've got an event. Crescent in the eyes. Okay, so the president of Pakistan since 71, and he's been the prime minister since 73. He followed the course of Islamic socialism. Now keep in mind, Pakistan has been an ally of ours. He adhered to the anti-imperialism and tried to build friendly relations with neighboring countries. He left the American sphere of influence and even the British Commonwealth. And let's see here. Okay, so now keep in mind we've got the new leadership in India. And it appears that the United States government is actually preparing a military coup against him. So we have, it says by preventing it and giving Bhutto material assistance for the construction of socialism, we could firmly consolidate our positions in Pakistan. And we're going to do that. Thanks to our warning, Bhutto managed to hide from the rebels and put up loyal units against them, who, together with the special forces of our KGB, arrived to help them stop the rebels and captured the leaders of the coup. And he was executed. The guy who was partnering up with the U.S. And things are back to normal, and we're continuing on to more socialist methods into the economy, which is good. There's also a slight warming in relations with India. So as you can see here now, Pakistan has been included in our sphere of influence here on the screen, which our global influence just went up 2. Which I believe, in terms of my goals this particular playthrough, I think that's a good thing. Our relations with the U.S. took a hit, but you know what? Sometimes these things happen. Another event. Okay, so problems of Stavropol agronomist. Tell you, some of this can be a little hard to digest at times. Okay, so our special services managed to get access to important information. According to it, in the Soviet Union, there are quite serious problems in agriculture, multiplied by the heavy rainfall this year. Agricultural Secretary Fedor Kulikov, secretary of the CPSU Central Committee, is one of the most likely successors to Brezhnev. According to our agents, Kulikov is in favor of actively studying and introducing the experience of Hungary and Yugoslavia into Soviet agriculture, which what they've done is they have decentralized the management of collective farms and state farms, creating agricultural cooperatives based on family contracts and sole farms. So essentially, there's this capitalization process going on in Hungary and Yugoslavia, which apparently has been a good thing. This guy who's heading up the he's the agricultural secretary, potential successor to Brezhnev. He wants to implement some of these ideas in the Soviet Union, and we're not okay with that because they need to stick with socialism, or excuse me, Leninism. So we have the opportunity to get involved here. We will publish revelatory materials about Kulikov in our media. You know what? I don't see a huge benefit from that. Nothing happened. He continued to occupy the post, advancing to top reform-minded party members. I think led by his ally, Mr. Gorbachev, which we all know where he ends up. So I think the deal here is this is kind of an opportunity to head off the liberalization, I guess you could say, of the Soviet Union by kind of knocking out one of the early moderates. You know what? I'm not too worried about what the Soviets are going to do. I want to be the leader of our own socialist communist bloc. As you can see here, the research on our science, the agriculture is done. So I am going to go ahead and start researching industrial technology. We should look at the economy too. Let's see, slight growth in industry, stagnation in agriculture, services same, corruption the same. I don't like that. Budget is still going down, so that's good. Services, standard of living, stagnant. All right, let's do that. We're going to put one in services. We're going to put one in the gold reserve. And we are going to move forward. So if I'm doing things, guys, that you do not understand or do not make sense, or you want some kind of more of a background on why I'm doing what I'm doing, I really would advise watching the very first video that I did. It kind of lays out all this, because right now you're looking at a screen, it's a map, and there's a bunch of screens that are in here that, in many cases don't make any sense at all unless you've played this game already or played a previous Kremlin Games game. We have another event here. So anyways, like I said, I'll put a link to the other video here, the first video, and I would go ahead and watch that, and that'll give you a good idea of it'll get you up to speed on what's going on. Okay, so the event here is since 1970, Egypt has been headed by Anwar Sadat. Immediately after he came to power, he began a departure from the policy of Gamal Nasser. Let's get it simple. And the ideas of pan-Arabism and Arab socialism during the so-called corrective revolution. So Sadat, he's arrested all of Nasser's associates. Blah, 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 blah. Sadat attempted to destabilize the ruling Arab Socialist Union, and he wants to restore relations with Israel. Big no-no in the Arab world at this time. Liberalization of the economy and the penetration of Egyptian foreign capital into the market led to widespread discontent among the general population, and the war with the once fraternal Libya finally undermined Sadat's authority. Mass rallies flooded the whole country, demanding the resignation of the president. We can take advantage of this and achieve the return to power of supporters of the socialist course. The Soviet Union and the fraternal Arab countries clearly will not object, but the reaction of the United States will not be so warm. Well, who cares? I mean, yeah, it's going to cost me some money. You'll see what I'm talking about, but let's do it. Okay. Not daring to intervene directly. Whatever. We went the other way and began to act through Libya and Syria. The new president of Egypt was Hosni Mubarak. Okay. Sorry. Preservation of anti-Soviet tone. Okay. Well, I don't see a huge benefit in what we did there. I could be wrong. Oops. Egypt, still liberalism. Yeah, not a big deal there. Although I suppose I could have went like the hardcore route and, you know, sent my military over there. All right. Influence. I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land. Let's check our wars. Hmm. We've got agent networks. So we sent it takes 3 to do that. Really didn't have much of a effect there, at least as much as I would like. And you can see every time we're doing one of these, our relations with the USA deteriorate. Well, in that case, it didn't because they're supporting the Cambodians. The Soviets get upset at us. All right, let's keep going. Got some money. Well, the fate of the pension lama. Comrade Chairman, a letter from a large group of Tibetan clergy has come to the Central Committee in which they urge you to consider releasing the 10th pension lama from prison. Apparently, he's the second lama after the Dalai Lama. Okay, so we can free him, thereby significantly improving relations with Tibetan monks and the population of the autonomy in the Tibet Autonomous Region. But does it make sense? Maybe it is better to eliminate the unreliable Lama and get our protege, this gentleman, elected as the Lama. Okay, so here are our options. We can release him from prison in exchange for waiving monastic vows. I can't do that one. We have 2 choices. Release the prisoner of conscience and rehabilitate him. Man, that's kind of a limitation. I wonder how much damage can he actually do. I just wonder. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's see. He began to speak with inflammatory speeches. Thanks to the release, of course, there was a development, but the price paid for this development was more than the benefits. So that's nice. You let the guy out of jail, and what does he do? He comes out and he just craps all over you. Not good. Oh well. Okay, so he goes. My people had enough of it. He fled to Bhutan, and then he moved to India, and then he founded a Tibetan government in exile. And India's hanging on to him. Well, we screwed up there. Oh well. I think we followed the historical path. Okay, diplomatic crisis. All right. So what happened here? Our relations. This is going to happen anytime your relations with the USA or the USSR are at 0. So in this case, it's the USA. Although I find it ridiculous, given that we just released the imprisoned Lama, that didn't give us anything. Well, maybe it did, but apparently not enough. Because as you can see here, it's going down at negative 2.5 every 2 weeks. So our relations with the USA have reached a critically low level. Their propaganda already accuses China of all possible and impossible crimes, and our intelligence reports on the turmoil in the Pentagon and activity at American bases in Southeast Asia. We urgently need to somehow correct the situation if we don't want the Third World War. So, we have 3 choices. Organize Dante, the French word, at our expense. Pass a part of foreign policy positions as a sign of goodwill. That means we basically just bow down and do what they want us to do. And so it changes the direction we take to avoid these 2 choices. Now, I really would advise you guys do not do the do not care at all, because what this does is you then come under, and in this case, it would be an American embargo. You don't want that, because that kind of throws your game into a spiral that you never get out of. So I wouldn't do that. I'm going to go ahead and organize it at my expense, which now notice 4.4 in the budget. Boom. Takes 10 to do that. Okay, so we urgently organize a magnificent meeting of the foreign ministers of China and the USA, and the American delegation was invited to a luxurious tour of China, where various festivals and events are being prepared, showing our peacefulness. All right, so it costs us a ton of money. The USA gives us 40 on relations. That whatever. So I'm going to address this problem because in this game, if you are negative in your budget, you can't even move the bar. You can't even move time forward. So we've got to address that. Okay, so I've got solid support of the party, and I've got decent support of the people. So what I can do here is I'm not going to take money out of the gold reserve. I'm going to increase my debt. My debt right now maximum can be 21.3. Currently it's 6.7. Now notice what happens to my support of the party. Okay, down one. That goes down with every one. I'll sacrifice that. Now I'm not happy about it, but I don't want the Americans telling me what I got to do. Um, just kind of get another lay of the land here. You guys, you gotta always do the lay of the land checks in this game because something's gonna be moving on you, and you're gonna miss it, and it might be too late. So the moderates, as you can see, equal 57% of the folks in the party at the moment. Army power is solid. Economy, well, we just did a bunch of economy. Okay, industry, that's moving forward on the research front. We've included Pakistan in our sphere of influence, and let's check our wars. Okay, not a huge change there, fairly stable. All right, guys, so we didn't move that much forward in time, but as you can see, this game takes a while to get through. So I'm going to go ahead and call the episode done at this point, and so this will be the end of episode 2. And I'll be releasing episode 3 as soon as I can get through it. So if you guys are not subscribing, do so. Like the video, share it, that whole thing. But thank you guys for watching. Very much appreciate you guys being a part of this, and look forward to talking to you guys in the future.